Academy, a best-selling author and has addressed leading institutions from NASA to the Indian cricket team. And having seen the performance of the England cricket team recently, perhaps there is work to do, sir. Please welcome Swami Partha Sarathi. Swamiji.
Your Excellency, distinguished leaders, dear friends, I have some time to talk to you about designing the future. First of all, we need to know that we are dealing with our own lives. So the first question I would like to ask you is, what is your life? What is my life? If you carefully analyze, life is a series of experiences. An experience is a unit of life. And an experience consists of two factors, you and the world. When you contact the world, there's an experience. And experience is flowing, is your life, is my life. So with an idea of bettering our lives, all that we are talking this morning and all that we'll be talking today and tomorrow is to better our lives, make our lives more comfortable, more peaceful, and for that reason, what one set of scientists worked upon, one part of experience, one part of life. Life consists of two parts, you and the world. They experimented and improved the world. So the world has become a beautiful world for us to live in. And they did it with an idea of making us more comfortable, more peaceful, more happy. But it's not to be. I'm not a pessimist. I've crossed 84 and I'm still going around the world teaching, talking, when nobody is listening to me. I don't think anybody is listening here either. I don't blame you because I've had this experience of 45 years. And that is, the world is improved to a point of fault. I'm not saying the world should not be improved. Myself have got a scientific background. But world cannot be improved at the expense of the individual. The individual is not taken care of at all, to a point of fault. So we're talking about education. So what is this education? Universities are providing education. What type of education? The word educate, derived from two Latin terms, it means to draw out. Education is not pushing stuff into you. It has to be drawn out. And that's education, true education. Shakespeare was not a graduate, but you want to become a graduate, you better read Shakespeare. Herbert Spencer was not a graduate, but you want to become a graduate, you've got to read Herbert Spencer. So the greatest of men, there are no graduates. I'm not against graduation, please. I've got 4 degrees. So, therefore, what do we really mean by education? So the universities are providing only information, knowledge to make a living. You go to a medical school, you get the knowledge of medicine, you make a living. You go to a engineering school, you get the knowledge of engineering, you make a living. So all the education you derive is to make a living. Do you all realize that all animals in the world are making a living without education? And therefore, by getting educated, you're just leveling up to just animals. But how do we live our life? How do we conduct ourselves in life? This information will not help you. So therefore, education is to develop the intellect. And in the Festival of Thinkers, the most important word that I've been talking in this festival itself that has to be examined is your intellect. I didn't hear that word at all last 4 meetings. To develop the intellect is education. To get knowledge from external agencies is intelligence. You must distinguish between intellect and intelligence. See it on the board. Intellect versus intelligence. All the knowledge that you have will not be able to provide you peace and happiness which you are looking for. So, intelligence is knowledge acquired from external agencies, from schools and universities. Intellect is what you have to develop yourself. You've got to question everything. From the age of 7, and I don't see anybody at 7 here, so it's all too late. Forget it. At least you pass it on to your grandchildren. So you've got to teach them to question everything, not take everything for granted. You take everything for granted. You lived your life on mere herd instinct. You all went to schools and universities because everybody went. If there's one person who thought whether I should go to a university or not, he's a genius. You all got married and got children. Why? Everybody gets Swamiji. What's your problem? I have no problem. And then what do you do? Got a job or a business. Why? To make a living. Everybody does that. You're just following her. By the age of 10 or 12, you say you're a Hindu, you're a Christian, you're a Muslim, you're a Buddhist. Nobody has a clue what a religion is. And all the battles have been fought in the name of religion. Even now there's disparity, discontentment, because of colossal misunderstanding of our own religion, because intellect is not applied at all. You're blindly following what your predecessors have done. And the predecessors have blood pressure, blood sugar, bypass. And you're also having the same thing. So therefore, friends, you've got to develop the intellect because there are two motivations in life. Every human being is motivated to acquire and enjoy. Two motivations is to acquisition and enjoyment. You need an intellect to acquire, you need an intellect to enjoy. As if you don't have the intellect, there'll be crash after crash financially. What happened in 2008? I was there in the United States lecturing. Everybody was asking me, why a financial crash in the United States sent ripples of crash everywhere? And we are only examining the crash. We are not finding out what is the cause of the crash. Why is it so? No intellect. That greed which the mind produces, you're after. You want more, and more, and more, till you crash. So therefore, friends, to be able to acquire what you want, to find success in your endeavors, you need an intellect. And the intellect tells you how to acquire anything. There are 3 C's to success. It's called concentration, consistency, and cooperation. See it on the board. Concentration, consistency, and cooperation. Unfortunately, I have no time to analyze these things. But if you don't have concentration, I've asked this question almost every business school in Europe and United States. And all that they tell me is, I've asked the audience, very distinguished audience in all the top business schools, what is concentration? You all appreciate that you've got to concentrate to achieve anything. Yes, we have to concentrate. What is concentration? You tell your children to concentrate. You tell your students to concentrate. You've got to concentrate. If they turn around and say, sir, what is concentration? Never mind, just concentrate. Everybody talks about concentration. When I asked one of the top business schools in America, what is concentration? The dean stood up and said, Swami, it's focus. So I said, what is focus? One of the students in the back said, concentration. I said, what's happening here? So concentration, use words, jargons, and get away with it. But nobody understands what is concentration. See, when you're in, you need an intellect to concentrate. When I'm talking to you now, I don't believe any one of you are following what I'm saying. Because the mind is slipping all the time into the past or the future. The mind's nature is to slip into the past or the future. Anybody who keeps the mind on the present is concentrating. And you can concentrate only when your intellect is powerful. When your intellect is powerful, it holds the mind on the present. And that's called concentration. Then we have consistency. Then we have cooperation. For all 3, you need an intellect. Secondly, the second thing that people are aspiring, I said, 1 is success, 2nd is peace. What is peace? What is peace? I've heard people talk on stress, on peace. What outstanding people holding seminars in Western countries have attended, and they are twice divorced. And they're talking about peace. The divorce rate in the Western countries has reached 70%. That's not peace. And 30% are filing the papers. So what is this peace? It's the mind that causes agitation. Peace is nothing but cessation of agitations. When the mind is not agitated, you're peaceful. When the mind is agitated, you've lost your peace. That's stress. And the mind could be agitated even in sleep. And therefore, friends, to keep the mind at rest, you need a powerful intellect. What the mind does is, again, all the time worried about the past, anxiety for the future. That causes the stress. You believe work causes the stress. Work can never cause stress. You can keep working till 84, dynamically, and not find any stress. What causes stress is worries of the past, anxiety for the future. If you carefully analyze your children, no child is stressed. How is that? It's bristling with activity, effervescing with joy and cheer all the time. You can't contain the child for a moment. The child is always bristling with activity, effervescing with cheer, because it has no worries of the past, no anxiety for the future. You have all the worries and anxieties, and that causes stress. That disturbs your peace. Therefore, you have to have a strong intellect to hold the mind in its place. Not worrying about the past or anxiety of the future. And that gives you peace. So you've got an intellect to find success in your action, peace in your mind. And if you apply the intellect, there's one last tip I give you. You've got to learn to give, not to take. Victor Hugo writes a novel called, it is The Label's Wrong, now in which a convict escapes from a prison and goes to him in the night, and he gives him food and shelter for the night. And the convict ran away with the silver plates that he was serving. And the maid came next morning and said, Father, the culprit has stolen our plates, silver plates. He said, replace them with copper. And the next few minutes, the policeman brought the culprit, threw him on the floor and said, Sir, Father, we found this fellow walking away with the silver plates. He said, why did you do that to him? I presented him last night. But you know he stole it. I know he stole it. And then the policeman profusely apologized to him and said, I'm terribly sorry. Why did you say that it was given to you? Profusely apologized to the priest and said, we're sorry, we did this terrible crime. And they went. And on his table there were 2 silver candlestick stands of solid silver. So he caught hold of the 2 and went up to the culprit who was lying on the floor and said, Son, remember, life is to give, not to take. Remember, life is to give, not to take. And he took it. And he became one of the greatest saints thereafter. You should read the book. So therefore, friends, all the talk is fine. But ultimately, you must learn to give, share. Whatever little you have, learn to share. The sun gives vitality. The clouds gives rain. The earth gives vegetation. The nightingale sings. The rose gives fragrance. None of them have motives. Only human beings have motives. Human beings have stress and strain of life. Therefore, learn to share. Learn to give. Thank you very much.